Dear students, let us continue on our Module 5, Computer Graphics and Visualization. Today, we are going to look at the curved surfaces, quadric surfaces, OpenGL quadric and cubic surface functions. And we are also going to see some of the APIs related to these surfaces and functions. Curved surfaces can be represented in mathematics by making use of parametric or non-parametric representation. In this particular topic, we are going to concentrate on how we can represent the curves and surfaces by making use of the parametric forms. So we can represent a curve as a collection of multiple small subdivisions of primitives, which are flat because they are concerned with the computer program and the screen. One particular class of objects which we are going to use often are called as the quadric surfaces because they can be described by making use of the second degree equation. And by making use of the second degree equations, we can generate spheres, ellipses, torus, parabolas and hyperbolas. So normally we are going to look at the different type of spheres and ellipses. So this is the equation for a sphere. X square plus y square plus z square. We know that. So whenever I'm having a point P on a sphere with the value x, y and z, the angle made on the y-axis and the angle made between the x-axis of the reflection of the point and the point is given by the theta and the phi. So here this point will be having the radius as r. So by making use of these parameters, we can go for finding x square plus y square plus z square is equal to r square. And then this equation has to be satisfied for every point on the sphere. Another way of representing a spherical coordinate parameter, that is r, theta and phi, is in this way, where we can go for the angle made between the z and the p, it is equal to the angle as phi. We can also describe this one in the form of a parametric equations by making use of the longitude and the latitude angles. That means latitude means which are going around and the longitude means which are coming from the top to the bottom. So the x equation, y equation and the z equation are given by making use of these equations, and these depend upon the pi by 2. So whatever the value will be made, it will always be between minus pi by 2 to pi 2 for the phi. And for the theta, it is always between minus pi to pi. If I am making use of the standard spherical coordinates, the angle phi will be specified between the point and the z-axis, and theta will remain as in the previous case. So we can set up the representation by making use of the parameters u and v when they are between the range 0 and 1 by substituting phi as pi u and theta is equal to 2 pi v. The next quadric surface is ellipsoid. This ellipsoid can be an extension of a spherical surface where we have the radii in three directions, x, y and z. We are going to call them as Rx, Ry and Rz. The Cartesian representation for these points over the surface of an ellipsoid and which is going to be centered at the origin is given by x by rx square plus y by ry square plus z by rz square. It is equal to 1. So you can look at this figure over here where we have the rx, ry and rz and the center is the origin. Because this is ellipsoid, the values won't be same, the Rx and Ry and Rz. So if it is same means it becomes a sphere, circular object if everything, all the radius are same. But here if it is not same, then it becomes a ellipsoid. The parametric representation for the ellipsoid in terms of the latitude angle phi and the longitude angle theta will be given by the equation where we have the values for the x, y and z in terms of rx, ry, rz and the cos phi and the cos theta and the sin theta angle. So here the x is equal to rx cos phi cos theta and y and z, they depends on two values, that is phi and theta. The phi can be always varying between minus pi by 2 and plus pi by 2, whereas the theta is varying between minus pi and plus pi. The next surface, it is the torus. A torus is a donut-shaped object which can be generated by rotating a circle or other conical structure about one specified axis. If x is equal to 0, we have one particular equation, and for the generic case we have another set of equation. So the RA will give the difference from the center point to the point called as R, or you can tell to the point which is at the center of the circular for the torus, and that difference is given by RA. And the point is given here as 0, y and z. So if any point we have it as x, y and z for a torus, we will be having the inner radius and the outer radius. So for the y value, the difference from the center to the point, that is given as y. And then the point which is connecting from the center to the point x, y, z, of course it will be one side which is a part of a right angle triangle, and that is why we can take that to be as root of x square plus. The Cartesian representation for a torus, it can be different from what was written for the previous one, the parametric representation. And we can also represent by making use of the formula for the x, y and z in terms of theta and phi. The theta and the phi, both of them are varying here from minus pi to plus pi. These are some of the 3D objects which are available in computer graphics. The OpenGL programming has been written for all these objects, and by making use of their APIs, we can achieve to get any of these output. The output can be spherical, a cube, a cone, a torus, or it can be a 12-faced dodecahedron, and then we can go for a 8-faced octahedron, or we can go for a 4-faced tetrahedron and 20-faced icosahedron. And we also have one more object which is called as the teapot. We can also go for creating any of these objects. The GLUT 3D objects are the different type of objects what we can create in the OpenGL programming. Of course, they are already written and it is already predefined in the OpenGL library. We can make use of this library functions. By making simple changes in the parameters, we can go for creating multiple 3D objects. So we can go for creating a sphere or a cube or a cone, torus, dodecahedron, octahedron, tetrahedron, icosahedron or a teapot. So the stack means when we are going to divide the object vertically, that is called as the stack. And the slice is when we are going for dividing the number of divisions on the object in the the circumference on the object what we are going to divide, that is called as the slices. And in the vertical direction what we are going to do, that is the divisions, that is called as the stack. So if I am having a torus means the number of sides will be there and the number of rings will be there. So the number of sides is nothing but what are the divisions on the torus, multiple small divisions what we are going to make on the entire surface, that is called as the number of sides. And the rings is small partitions along the surface, that is called as the rings. So you can just remember the slices means when we are going to divide the object in a particular fashion where we are going to divide that object into multiple smaller pieces. That is called as the slices. So we can visualize how actually the stacks, slices, sides and rings, it will be present on an object. To construct a sphere, we can make use of the Glut Solid Sphere API. This API will be consisting of three parameters. That is the radius, the number of slices and the number of stacks. The radius is for the circle of the sphere will be having the radius, and then the slices is the number of subdivisions around the z-axis. That means it is somewhat similar to the lines on the earth, that is longitude, and the stacks are the number of subdivisions along the z-axis, that is called as the stack. So the sphere will be having the radius, slices and stack. It can be a solid sphere or it can be a wire sphere. If it is a solid sphere, you can't make out the lines and all. It will look very neat and the round object will be there with some color and all. But if it is a wire sphere means, then you can go for seeing the wires, or you can just see like the skeletal view of the sphere will be present. The Glut quadratic surface functions for a sphere. It can be rendering a sphere which is going to be centered at the origin and it will be having a specified radius. The sphere is divided around the z-axis into slices, around into slices, and along the z-axis into stacks. So here we have an illustration of a sphere which is having only lines. That is called as a wire-framed sphere. And then we can go for filling it with some colors and texture. That is called as a filled sphere. So we have a solid sphere and a wire-framed sphere. A cone can be drawn by making use of the Glut solid cone or a Glut wire cone. If it is a solid cone, you are going to get a cone which is filled with the color and the texture. If you are going for a wire framed cone, you are only going to see the lines that is making up the cone. The cone will be standing on one base. So that base radius should be considered, and the height of the cone, the number of slices on the cone and number of stacks on the cone has to be considered as the parameters for the API Glut solid cone or Glut wire cone. The subdivisions are along the z-axis for the slices as well as the stack. So for the slices it is around the z-axis, for the stacks it is along the z-axis. The cone what we are going to draw, it will be oriented along the z-axis. The base of the cone is placed at z is equal to 0 and the top is given by z is equal to height. The cone is divided around the z-axis into slices and along the z-axis into stack. So if you look at the picture over here, you can get the slices and the stack and the height and also the radius. At the base, what circular fashion will be there? For that we are having the radius, that is giving the radius value. Next we have the height, that means from the base up till the tip of the cone, what will be the height? That is given by the height parameter, and the around the z-axis what divisions we are going to make, that is called as the slices, and along the z-axis what divisions we are going to make, that is called as the stack. The quadratic surface torus can be constructed by making use of Glut solid torus or Glut wire torus. The Glut solid torus will create a torus which is having a filled up torus. A torus is consisting of an inner circle and an outer circle. It is like a tire-like structure. It is like a donut structure. So we'll be having the inner circle as well as the outer circle. That is why we are going to have four parameters: the inner radius, the outer radius, the number of sides and the rings. So the inner radius will give you the radius of the torus that is in the center, the central smaller circle. And the outer radius, it is going to give the radius of the circle, which is the outer one. The number of sides what we have for every section on the torus, we are going to have the number of sides, and the rings will be radial divisions for the torus. That means from the center, when you're going to draw the radius, how we are going to have the radius, those divisions what we are going to make, that is called as the rings. And on every ring we are going to have n number of sides. So if the number of sides is going to increase, it is going to give us a smooth view. And the number of rings what are there, it depends upon the object what we are creating. So if the number of rings as well as the number of sides, it is more, then it will lead to a smoother effect. So if the number of rings are very few, it will have a line like sharp line like object. So that is called as a torus. By making use of the parametric equations, for every point on the torus xyz, we can find out what is the angle made with respect to x, y and z axis, and then we can go for computing the values of the x, y, z. Of course, we have to consider the radius from the center and the inner radius, and then we can go for constructing the entire torus. A teapot can be constructed by making use of glut solid teapot and glut wire teapot. This teapot is consisting of multiple vertices and multiple curves. These curves are generated by making use of bicubic Bezier surface patches. This particular teapot database has been stored in a data table, and whenever we want to construct a teapot, we're just going to make use of that data table. The data table was constructed by one person called as Martin Nobel in 1975 at the University of Utah. That is why this teapot is also called as the Utah teapot. The size what we have here, it is the floating point value where we are going to specify the maximum radius of the teapot. The teapot is centered on the world coordinate origin, and we have to imagine its vertical axis is along the y-axis. A sphere can be drawn by using GLU sphere, but in this GLU sphere API, it will also take the help of other API, which is called as the GLU new quadric. So I'll explain about the GLU new quadric in the next slide. Here we are going to specify the radius of the sphere and also the subdivisions around the z-axis and subdivisions along the z-axis. So we have to specify the slices and the stacks and the radius and also a GLU new quadric. That means what type of a quadric object you want, that can be specified by using the GLU new quadric. Here are some examples which will illustrate about the sphere. So you can see here when the slices and the stacks, if it is equal to 10 and the slices and the stacks is equal to 20, how the sphere is constructed. It is along the z-axis and around the z-axis. So when we are having along the z-axis, we are having the stack, and around the z-axis we are having the slices. The GLU quadric style is an API which is used for drawing a quadric object with a given style. That means you can go for a fill which can be of line type or a silhouette or a point. Line means it will be only set of points. Silhouette means it will be like a shadow like effect you are going to get. There will be a set of lines, but the edges will be separated, but it will not be drawn. That is called as a silhouette effect. You can also go for drawing a object by using only points, and that can be done by using the GLU point. Along with this GLU new quadric, we will also make use of the GLU quadric orientation. That means how we are going to orient it and also what is the new quadric object we are going to draw. So that will be done in the quadric draw style. Quadric draw style function, it is not returning any value, but it is only going to draw an object, whatever has been specified by a quad object. The GLU cylinder is an API for creating a cylindrical objects. For this also we are having one quadric object, then the base radius, then the top radius, the height, the slices and the stacks. GLU cylinder function, it will be having one object created for the cylinder. So that will be given the name and it will be created by using the GLU new quadric. Base radius means when the height where the z value is equal to 0, that radius what we are going to collect, that is called as the base radius, and the top radius is when the cylinder is at its maximum height, that is z is equal to height. Height is given as the height of the cylinder and the slices are around the z-axis, the subdivisions what we have. Stacks means along the z-axis what the divisions we are going to have, that is called as the stack. So by using all these parameters we can go for constructing a cylinder. The GLU cylinder functions, it is going to draw a cylinder oriented along the z-axis. So the base is at z is equal to 0 and the top is at z is equal to height. Like a sphere, the cylinder is also subdivided around the z-axis into slices and along the z-axis into stacks. So if the top radius it is set to 0, then what will happen? This routine will be generating a cone because it will be having the meeting point as 0. Then this will be converted to a cone. Here you can look at the pictures, just giving the illustration of a cone which is having the wireframe in the first one and the cone which is a solid in the second one. In the second one, the coloring effect is also given and it is made to view like this at an angle. So this is the GLU cylinder function created pictures. We can see the number of slices in the stacks along the z-axis what we are going to have, that is called as the stacks, and around the z-axis what we are going to have, those are called as the slices. So slices means the number of pieces and along the z-axis what we are going to have the divisions one on top of one another, that is called as the stacks. We can draw the disks in the OpenGL programming by making use of the GL Disk API. In this, the first one is the quadric object. The second one is inner radius, outer radius, number of slices and the number of loops. So here the quadric object will be created by making use of the GLU new quadric. And for the disk, what will be the inner radius that is given? That means the inside radius what we are going to have. You can also make it as 0 also. Then what will happen? We'll just have a plain disk. Outer radius if you are going to give, you have to give the maximum up till where you can go for drawing the radius. Slices, the number of subdivisions around the z-axis what we are going to have, those are called as the slices. And the number of concentric rings above the origin to which the subdisk is divided. That means it is nothing but the stack. So we are going to have it as the loops. So GLU disk is function is going to create one object which will be having inner radius as well as outer radius and also the slices and the stacks. So here it will not be growing in the vertical direction. Only on the horizontal direction only we are going to have two types of divisions, that is the slices that is around the z-axis and the loops are about the origin. We are going to divide the disk and those are called as the loops. So in this picture you can look at the GLU disk function which has been rendered on the z plane. So the disk has the outer radius of value which is equal to the outer radius and it is going to contain inner radius also. If the inner radius is equal to 0, then that gap or that hole won't be generated in this particular picture. The disk is subdivided around the z-axis. That means you can see like uh, on the picture you are having pizza-like slices. Those are called as the slices. And also about the z-axis into rings. So we are going to specify them as loops also here. These are the values which we'll be using for creating the GLU disk. So about the z-axis, what divisions we are going to make into rings, those are called as the loops. So depending upon how big you want your disk to be, you can go for creating a disk-like picture by making use of the GLU disk API. If you want to draw only a partial disk, not the complete disk, but the partial disk, then you can go for creating a partial disk by making use of GLU partial disk. This GLU partial disk, it is consisting of the quadric object, the inner radius, the outer radius, the slices, the loops, and also we are going to specify two angles. That means for that disk, what should be the starting angle and what should be the stopping angle. Then I am going to get a partial disk. That means I am not going to get a complete circle. In that complete circle, I just want to have one part of it. Then you can go for a GLU partial disk. So quadric object is what quadric object I am going to generate, that name that is given in the new quadric object. Then we are having same like the disk operation only, will be having the inner radius. Then we'll be having up till where it has to extend, that is called as the outer radius. And the sub number of divisions what you're going to have the on the z-axis. Around the z-axis, that is called as the slices, and the number of concentric rings what we are going to have, that is called as the loops. And then you have to specify the starting angle of the disk portion and how much we have to cover, that is called as the sweep angle. So when you mention all these parameters, you can get only the partial disk as the output. So this is the output what we are getting for the GLU partial disk function. This GLU partial disk, it is constructed on the Z plane. It is very similar to the full disk only, except we are going to take only one section of the full disk. And this full disk from where to where means from the starting angle up till the sweep angle. So we are having the 0 degrees along the positive y axis and 90 degrees is along the positive x axis and 180 degrees is along the negative y axis and 270 degrees is along the negative x axis. We can go for taking a angle like this and then go for collecting the information. To manage the things properly, we are also going to have the delete quadric API. This quadric API is used for destroying a quadric object. So that is why we are creating also by making use of the new quadric API. So whatever object was constructed by using the GLU new quadric, you can specify that name and that object will be destroyed here. This function, it is not returning any value, it is a void, but it is going to destroy the quadric object and it is going to free any memory that is going to be used. After you have called the GLU quadric, you cannot use that particular state again. That means you cannot use particular memory or that particular object you are not going to make use of. So that is the GLU delete quadric. The GLU quadric orientation, it is going to specify whether this particular quadric object has to be oriented inside or outside. So we are having the normal vector direction as the second parameter. That means the vector direction. It will be assigned either GLU outside or GLU inside. These two, that is the GLU outside or the GLU inside, it is going to indicate the direction for the surface normal vectors, where outside will be indicating the front face direction and inside will be indicating the back face direction. Of course, the default case is the GLU outside. For a flat circular ring, the default front face direction will be in the direction of the positive z-axis. So these are the parameters what we are going to make use of in the quadric orientation. The object will give the quadric object, and the orientation, whatever you want the object to be oriented to, either the inside or the outside, that will be given. If you give the GLU outside, then the quadrics with normals will be pointing outwards. If you don't specify any value here, the default case will be the GLU outside. The GLU inside is another parameter, which is whenever you are having the quadrics with the normals pointing inwards. So in that case, you can go for constructing the quadric orientation. That means you are going to align this particular quadric by making use of the GLU quadric function. The GLU quadric normal function, it is going to specify what kind of normals. Normals means the values which are computed depending upon the surface. A average value like it will be computed, that is called as the normals. So for this quadric object, what are the normals that can be computed by using the GLU quadric normals? So here we are having the quadric object, and then also we have the normals. So a symbolic constant which is called as the either GLU none, GLU flat, or GLU smooth, that can be assigned here. The default case is the GLU none, that means which is going to see that no surface normals are to be generated, and so no lighting conditions are applied to the quadric surface. For a flat surface shading, that means if I want a constant color value for each of the surfaces, we can make use of the symbolic constant GLU flat. If we use the GLU flat, it is going to produce a normal for each polygon face. When other lighting and shading conditions are to be applied, we are going to make use of the constant GLU smooth, which is going to generate a normal vector for each surface vertex positions. GLU quadric callback function is a special function which is used for identifying the errors whenever we are calling any object. So this will be having a quadric object, and then we'll be having the error name. So this is a special API. So we'll be having the GLU quadric callback function whenever there is an error. So here we are going to indicate what type of an error has been occurred by making use of the GLU error. So if we are having any problem with the character strings which are going to be described by using these errors, it can be made use of by GLU error string call. So the GLU quadric callback function, it is not going to return any value, but it is going to define a new callback which can be used by the quadric object. If the specified callback is already defined, it will be replaced, or if the function what we want to call is null, any existing callback will be erased. So that is the purpose of the GLU quadric callback function. By using all these APIs, you can go for constructing new objects, and you can go for giving them colors and varying them by using their orientations, and what all the APIs we studied in the previous classes, by using the menus, by using the coloring, by using the orientations and all these things, you can go for constructing multiple types of projects. Okay, that's all for today. We're going to continue in the next class. Thank you very much.